You're live. It says live. What are you doing live? You're a bit early. That's not on, is it? 4 people in the house. Okay. What have we got here? What have we got here? What have we got here? A litter of pups. Good evening, everyone. Starting off with a litter of pups for you. There you go. People are asking me how the pups coming on, Chris. Well, there you go. A basket full of them. A basket case of pups. Give you an idea. There you go. How old are they, Sue?
It'll be 2 weeks tomorrow.
2 weeks tomorrow. And as you can see, cheeky boy, look at the markings on that. Look at that, 2 weeks tomorrow. Eyes on open, look. Big chunky pup. Oh, look at it, it's a boy. And like I say, we got Chunky and we got Little Monkey. And they're all different, aren't they? Little Monkey, need some more milk because big ones are getting in there. Look at this one. Eyes are open. See the eyes open? There you go, look. 2 weeks, eyes are open. 14 days, just starting. So some have got their eyes open, look. And some haven't. And they're all different. Look at the state of that one. Ugly muggly. But gonna get better. Gonna get better. But most of them have got a lovely liver head. Lovely liver head on them. Are you seeing this, Susan?
Yeah.
Can you see the sound? There you go. Another one. A lot of markings on that one. Look at that. But most of them have got a nice dark head on them. That's what I like about them. And there's 9 of them. 9 of them. And just because some of them are small doesn't mean we won't catch up. That one's got a nice saddle on it, look. Both sides got a saddle. I'll show you. There you go, got a saddle on it. Because so many people were asking, I just thought I'd show you the pups. Big fat one here. I think this one's getting all the food. I think this one, Chunky, getting all the food. So there you go. Good evening to you all, and I hope you've got 25 people in the house. I'll just show you those pups. Now Sue's going to put them back, and when she comes over here, I'm going to turn the camera away because she doesn't want to be on camera. So there you go, everyone. Come on then, Susan, what are you doing? Oh, God. Can't find the stuff these days, everyone. You can't find the stuff, honestly. So there you go. Puppies in the house. So you're going to put them back with the bitch now. Bit late to the party. No, I was a bit early. So we're a bit early, really. So I just thought I'd show you the pups, and then anybody who wants to see them can have to go back on the video and look on the video. Well done, Sue. Thank you. That's my apprentice taking the pups back out. So there you go. And been a very busy bee lately. Been cutting the field out the back. Been getting everything ready for reopening. Well, we are open, but it's not very busy. People aren't really traveling at the moment. Not found homes for all of them, but not worried about it. We sell them no problem at all. And that's what I say. They're 2 weeks old. I don't really start messing with them until that age. We got one that's struggling a little bit, but still going. And We just keep an eye on it. That's all. Keep an eye on it. We let nature take its course, and yet some people say, "Oh, that's so cruel." No, it's not, because I want people to have a fit, healthy pup. And if we got a pup that needs human intervention too much, then it could be an unfit pup. And I want people to have nice quality pups when they have from me, and that's why we keep to that standard. And that's what we do. We've been doing it for years. We've been doing it for years. Okay, so we go back up, and I'm going to start again and welcome you in. Welcome, Simon, first one in the house. Kieran Evans, God blame me, you were all early. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. Stephen Logan, Simon Bruce, Christopher, Jason Vernon, Lars, good evening. Good evening, Sandra. Good evening, Karen Marie. Good evening, darling wife. She's here. Well, she was here. She's left the auditorium. A bit late to the party, so watching on delay. We'll pick up the new Springer tomorrow. Well done, new Springer. Christopher, lovely looking pups, nice pups, solid heads. Yep. Evening, Chris and Sue. Alan Hurd, King Como. Good evening to you. Okay, so what would you like to talk about? Good evening, Matt Crew. What would you like to talk about today? 1958. We're not even 8 o'clock, and we got 35 people in the house. So I want it to fill up a little bit before we start going down the road I want to go down at the moment. So if anyone's got any questions and you want those questions answered, fire away now while it's quiet, and I can answer those questions for you. Hi, do you switch it off, Sue, please? It's too. I don't know. Switch it on, Sue.
No.
Oh, that's better. Yeah. Hi, do you free feed all your dogs, and what is the reason why? I don't free feed my dogs all the time, but I do tend to free feed my youngsters until they're 12 months of age. But when I start putting them in with each other, I don't leave food with them together. But for instance, Harley Quinn is in a kennel at night on his own. He's got food all night just in the bowl. And that way he doesn't turn out to be a pig and become food orientated or get possessive problems because it's there all the time for him. But when he was a youngster and he was in the kennel on his own, he had food there all the time. But once a dog reaches 12 months of age, they tend to get one feed a day with me, unless there's scraps of our food. Excuse me, I'm coughing because of
Not COVID.
the virus. Not that virus. I've been out cutting grass, and there's grass seeds and everything. I like to cut the grass back at this time of year. Chris, I watched Michael Ellis on YouTube. Really enjoyed his methods and his training. I appreciate the link. No problem at all, Jason. The idea, a good gun dog trainer shouldn't fear other trainers, but if he sees trainers that he appreciates in all aspects of training, he talks about them and he promotes them. That's the way it's got to be, in my eyes, because at the end of the day, that's how people can learn. Some of the stuff I don't agree with Michael, but a very, very good ambassador for the sport of dog training, and he talks about the right issues, and I think it's important. But he puts himself across a lot better than I do. But I'm just me. He's definitely a teacher, and yeah, I do rate him. Right, okay. Evening Troop, says Peter Piper. Peter Piper in the house, not the tables. Carlos, good evening to you. And Michael McLaughlin from Ireland, a good evening to you, sir. So we're going to play a little game today. We're going to have a little bit of a quiz. So if you don't want to play, don't play. But if you ask me questions, we'll answer those questions. But I'm going to ask you questions. I'm not going to actually give you, Phil Watkins, good evening. I'm going to ask you some questions. I want you to give me answers as if, don't worry if you get it wrong. Don't worry at all. Just give your opinion. It's important. Did your friends have the GS? No, they didn't have that dog. No, that dog is still in the rescue center. It makes me so angry. The rescue center is so pig-headed. Good evening, Pierre. How are you? So, first question. I want you to answer this question for me. This question was asked. This question was actually asked on Chris Fraser's live feed today. And funny enough, he didn't answer it. And I was waiting for the answer. But because I commented to the girl, which her name is Mary, Parol, and I think she's from Poland or something like that. And the question was, have you seen gun dogs giving away the bird to the owner with joy, without food, toy, or praise? Some kind of reward is necessary, especially during learning process. This is according to Healing with Toys stroke food comment. Right, so would any of you like to answer that question? Would you just like to answer that? It'd be interesting to say what you say. So I'll repeat it one more time. Have you seen gun dogs giving away the bird to the owner with joy, without any food, toys, or praise? Some kind of reward is necessary, especially during learning process. This according to Healing with Toys stroke food comment. So what do you think about that one to start with? That's number one. I want you to give me. Got told off today by my neighbours for giving my dad a leash correction. They threatened with the RSPCA. I will invite them in for coffee. There you go. Is there anything special I should do when introducing a new pup to 2-year-old working cocker, or just a matter of a little time to be supervised? David Sweetman, introducing a pup to a 2-year-old working cocker. If your working cocker is balanced and it's not a nasty cocker, then you shouldn't have a problem. They should settle in, no problem at all. I've got a question in a minute relating to something like that, so I don't want to answer your question much more than that. But no, there shouldn't be a problem, but you want to monitor them. They just monitor them, and I would normally take them out to a more open area like the back garden rather than just straight into the house. And I wouldn't pamper the pup and make the 2-year-old cocker jealous. Simple as that. You let them work it out, but you still got to step in if it gets really out of hand. Phil Watkins, it's about the bond you have to start with. Get your foundations in place, all fun game place, then learn to retrieve with little or no problems. Well done, Adam, well done. I've seen my Springer giving it up to me. Okay, of course they want the game to continue. Mine won't touch food if the dummy ball is out. I thought the reward was just the retrieve of the bird, rabbit, dummy. Well done, Jason. Okay, come on. Keep coming. I want you to give me some input. I want you people to tell me what you think. So if you were going to reply to that lady, what would you say? What would you say? This is why it's testing you. I like to test people and see what they feel. And it's nothing to try and find weaknesses in people. It's to find someone who gives the very good answer. And I'm going to actually tell you what I said to her. But I wanted to see if anyone wanted to play this game with a few questions, and see. It's a game for the game to carry on with the keenness. There you go. So what would you have said to that lady? It's a game for the game to carry on with keenness. Is that what you would have said to her? Of course Caroline Fagan, of course they want the game to continue. Mine won't touch food if the dummy ball is out. There you go. Some dogs do and some dogs don't. Do you need to use food? What did the lady ask again? Karen, are you talking at the back of the class? You should be listening. I'll repeat it one more time. I've repeated it twice. Have you seen Gundog giving away the bird to the owner with joy, without any food, toy, or praise? Some kind of reward is necessary, especially when during the learning process. This is according Healing with the Toys stroke food comfort. Now, don't forget, she's foreign, but I could understand the question. But it was on the Chris Fraser live, and he read it out, and I think it confused him a little bit. Not in a nasty way. I just think he thought, why are you asking that question? And because I'm a good no person, I answered her, and then she came back with another question, and I'll read that through for you. If you feed treats, they become food dependent. Well done, Sean. I've had that happen to me, Denver Skinner. What? Someone report you for discipline? Come on. Yes, they give it up eagerly as they want the game to continue. Well done, Caroline. Well done. Good point. Okay, you've had long enough. Let's tell you what I said, shall we? So, anybody else want a quick go before I thought it was a good subject to talk about. Answer: no need for food. You've always said to play based training. No need for food reward. The reward is your happiness. I would create drive and desire for the retrieve. Whether the ball or bird, it's gameplay from the dog, and the reward is another retrieve for calling the good but required. So here we go. What did Chris Upton say? My answer straight away to that question was yes. Most do it without food. So I answered it very, very easily for her, because the question was, do dogs need the food? Joy. No. Yes, most dogs do it without food. Then she came back and said, food is one of many rewards that the dog may be given. What is the dog being given after successfully returning a bird to the owner then? Good question. That's what happens when you put your head above the parapet and you say things. People come back and they ask you questions. So I said, the joy of the game you teach is in stages. You just don't allow a dog to pick a bird and run around with it. You start off with ball play, dummy play, or what we call bumper play. You teach the recall first. So if you haven't got a good recall and you just throw a bird, or the dog comes across a bird, or you go hunting with a dog, then that dog's going to run around with that bird and not want to bring it to you. Then you're going to have to be a negative punishment for not listening to you, or you're going to have to bribe it. But if you teach it in stages, it's so important that you teach in stages. And that's the foundation of my training for you. It's teaching gameplay, ball drive, dummy drive, recall. Then we go on to cold game, then warm game, and then the real stuff. If you do it in stages, it works absolutely fantastic. So a simple little question like that, answered in the way I answer it, makes it simple, doesn't it? Because you guys have been watching the videos, and so you came up with so many good answers. A lot of you we bang on with the answers, but you didn't perhaps give enough scope for somebody to understand with no knowledge. So I don't know if she was being a bit pedantic and saying, well, you have to use food. Well, she wasn't, was she? She didn't ask that question. So the thing is, you answer those people. He's then waiting to continue the game when he gives up the bird. Exactly. And that's why it's so important to build it up in stages and show people stages. That's why my videos on the internet, had 3.5 million views and 7,000 subscribers and so much good feedback. The problem is it's the people who don't want to watch the videos, they just want to criticize. Exactly what someone was saying up there, that the neighbors wasn't happy because you give a leash correction. Well, if we don't talk about correction and we don't show correction, then if we say that it's wrong to give correction, or everybody says it's wrong to give correction, then the person who's seen giving correction is going to get ostracized, because everybody in society says it's not acceptable to give correction. So there you go. So do you see why I approached it in that way? That's why I explained to you in that way. Was that good, Sue, or no? No, she didn't say no. She's just, honestly, she's in the background. She's given me a list of not to say, not to say, not to do, not to say. She said she's censoring me tonight, everyone. Okay, so let's go back to.
I forgot.
Let's go to Dave Cowling's question on Patreon. So I've got to go over to Patreon now. I'm going to answer this one on here. He's actually asked me 2 questions, and so we can answer them. Now, one of them, here we go. So this is what you've got to answer. You've got to answer this for Dave and give me your answer. I thought the answers was watch my videos. Richard, honestly, you naughty bugger, you. How to win friends and influence people. It's one of the things we do without thinking about them. Then to break it down for explanation is difficult. Do you know, Stephen? That's really a good point you've put there, because someone said to me, I think was it Steve? Was it Stephen Logan we were speaking to the other day? Was we speaking to Stephen Logan live on the Patreon? We were, Stephen, weren't we? I don't deal with that many people. I think we were speaking to Stephen from Ireland, weren't we? I think it was Stephen Logan. I think. But you were right, Stephen. You were asking me I should break down some of these videos and explain more. I haven't got enough hours in the freaking day. I'd be here forever, wouldn't I? Paul Jarvis, Chris, did you see my question on Patreon on Soul's video chat? I'm going to, Paul. I'm going to go there in a minute. Remind me in a minute, Paul. I'll go there in a minute. Anyway, so this is the question to help Dave. But I want you to answer the question. I know what the question. I know how to answer the question. I want to see how you answer it. So imagine you're sitting there and you're now agony aunt of gun dog training, and you're answering the question. What would you do if a puppy was play biting and hanging off another dog's ears and was snapping at the pup to stop it? Would you reprimand the pup? So did you get that? Shall I read it again with my dyslexic? What would you do if a puppy was play biting and hanging off the other dog's ears and he was snapping at the pup to stop it? Would you reprimand the pup? Come on then. Come on then.
It was, you've got good memory. It was Stephen Logan.
Yeah, it was Stephen, yeah. Okay. Come on then. Yes, a sharp no, Robert Jeffrey says. No, you wouldn't reprimand the pup, or you would not. It wouldn't be a sharp no, or you'd say no. No, it's how they learn, as long as it doesn't get aggressive. Hello, Andy said, how are you? Yes, I would throw a towel and a firm no. I'll tell you what, I'm going to close this channel down if somebody answers this freaking question. I'm going to close this channel down. Honestly, I'm taking you all down the wrong freaking path here.
Lockdown fever.
Make it nothing of it, and put the focus on the pup in another direction. Paul Cocker, well done. I would tell both off, would you? Right, okay, hang on then. Karen Evans, yes, I'll throw a towel and say a firm no. Okay, Karen. The dog is teaching the pup to behave. Peter Piper, there you go. Leave it to the dog. I would let them both, tell them both off. No, I would not. The puppy goes through play stages, and if you disciplined him, you may knock him back. Well done, Jason. Well done, Jason. But no one's hit the nail on the head at the moment. And there's one important thing you should be asking before you give an opinion. And this is how you learn, by not setting you up, giving you a question, asking you to answer it. And I'm looking for one person to come up with the right question. You'd want more information. What would you want? That's a clue. So yeah, I mean, lovely to hear your comments, and all have got an idea, but it just shows how different people would react depending on if it was a continuous occurrence, not if it was just a couple of times. Say nothing, make nothing of it. Do nothing but keep an eye on it. The older dog should be putting the young dog in its place, pecking order. Ooh, right, okay. Okay. I'd have to see the dog and the pup. Not enough info. But there's a question you'd be asking, wouldn't you? And how many times have I asked that question? Can you say hello to your grandson, Owen? Hello, Owen. How are you, Owen? Been to school. Good lad. Hope you're keeping 2 meters apart from your girlfriend. Stop laughing. I know your girlfriend. She talks to me every night on the phone. Why is the pup with the older dog? Depends on how trustworthy the other dog is. I'd remove the pup to annoy the distract. Depends on the older dog. Hang on. It's going up hell of fast. How old is the pup? Well done, Sean. Spot on. How old is the pup? If you're bonking a freaking 8-week-old pup, or a 10-week-old pup with a bonk towel, then you're creating a problem before you start. You're knocking the dog back before you start. But at the end of the day, what's the best thing to do? Sounds like Harley Quinn and the bitches. Yeah, but the difference is, there's a difference between just a snarl or snapping and aggressive. Now, a dog will knock another dog back, and sometimes there's jealousy, and sometimes they go in too hard. But first, you should be asking, how old's the pup? Because normally, if the pup's only 8 to 10 weeks old, not many dogs will near the pup unless they're just not very well socialized. So it's really important that when people ask you questions, that you think, well, hang on, where's the information? And the information from Dave, my next question to Dave would have been, how old is the pup? So how old is the pup? Robert Jeffries has got that. I thought the pup was 4 months old. Well, how do you know the pup was 4 months old? Where does it say on it 4 months old? I never said the pup was 4 months old. I'm not talking about my pup. It says here, what would you do if a puppy was play biting and hanging off another dog's ears and he was snapping at the pup to stop it? Would you reprimand the pup? There's a message, it says nothing about that. Give a verbal correction. But why don't you just split them up? Why don't you just, if it gets too out of hand, split them up? It depends what the other dog is doing as well. Because if the other dog is just growling and you go, hey, stop it, and that pup stops, and not the pup stops, the dog that's growling stops, and the behavior doesn't escalate out of control. I've seen say a 4 or 5 month old pup, I've seen a dog nail a pup for being too dominant, put it in its place. Well, sometimes you let that happen at that age, because sometimes you got to teach the dog a lesson. Hang on, back off, let him get on with it to a certain extent. But I wouldn't want an older dog, you bring your puppy into a house, your 8-week-old pup, and it nails it in the corner and frighten the living daylights out of it. That's not really what I would be looking for at that point. Not really. And yet a mother would reprimand a pup for, trying to take milk when she's not supposed to, or trying to eat out the food bowl when the mother is in survival mode and says, hang on, that's mine, I need to survive, you get off my food. So it's one of them questions that is difficult to answer again, and yet it's a simple question, and yet it's one of them questions that perhaps you need to ask more questions. And that's why it's so important that when people give me questions on here, sometimes I say, I can't answer that, you need to tell me a little bit more, because it's so easy to be giving out information on the internet. But look at the difference between the different things that people would do. It varies so much, doesn't it? And yet you people watch my videos. Now, some of you are on Patreon, right? Mum's the word. I put a video up with Doogie and Harley Quinn. And you saw how I corrected that dog in that split second. If that video was put into public domain, some people would go, that's not dog training. Well, it corrected it very, very quickly at the precise moment. There's no way I could have done anything other than that unless that dog had an e-collar on. I don't want to confuse the dog with an e-collar on. I cannot have a dog of that size being so dominant to a puppy that's only playing and teasing him a little bit. Now, if that puppy was being too assertive, then straight away I'd step in on the puppy. But I'd stop the behavior of the other dog nailing it to the floor. Because at that point, I want to show leadership that, hang on, we don't have that here. But if the puppy's just being annoying, like he was with my bitch, and climbing all over her, and she stands there and goes, "Rrr," I let it go until if she tried to escalate it any further. Because I'm letting her teach him a lesson. But it all depends on how old that puppy is. Now, Harley Quinn got nailed twice and nearly knocked off his feet by Dougie the other day on that video. He still jumped up and picked the retrieve, but it knocked him back on the retrieve. He let it go and come running back. I don't want that dog being that forceful on that pup. I've taught that dog not to be forceful on other dogs, and he was forceful, nailing them in the field, but they don't pester him. But so what I did is I brought Harley Quinn in on purpose to teach him the next stage. But I did it in stages, and what people don't see, they just put up one video edit the bit. So look at him disciplining that dog. That's not a way to train. That's not called training. Load of rubbish. Absolute load of rubbish. If you watched how fast it worked, it had the proper effect that we needed. Do I want to do that? No. But it was short, sharp, and fast. The timing had to be precise. Would I recommend people doing that? No. I'm showing you warts and all, and I'm showing you how I train. So, lead you up to the next question. And this is from Robert Elaine. It is totally wrong showing correction on the internet. It encourages other people to do it. You are taking dog training back 30 years. Now, if you think that statement is right, I want you to say, well done, Diva. I want you to put, well done, Diva. I don't want anything else than, if you think that statement's right, is well done, Diva. If you think me talking about discipline and showing correction to a certain extent on the internet in videos is a positive thing, I want you to say bollocks. Okay? Paul Jarvis, fuck off, Robert. See, you don't listen to me, Paul, do you? Two things, that's all you had to do. I'm not... So there you go, Robert. A message to you. A message to you. And what you want to do, Robert, you want to ask the question, why has Chris Upton got 3.5 million views, 7,000 subscribers? He did have. Look at the bollocks. Look, bollocks to us, Robert, is a good thing. It means, yes, we need to talk about discipline because we want to stop the cruelty. We want them to understand when to use discipline. If we don't talk about discipline, how the freaking hell can people understand it? That's what you're creating, Robert Elaine. You're creating a shitstorm because you use discipline, but you're not talking about it because you don't want to upset your fluffy gangs, your snowflakes. You want to keep your snowflakes on board. And what I'm saying to you is, I talk about discipline. I put my head above the parapet. If people take my videos and edit those videos, Robert, I can't be held responsible for that, can I? That's the knobheads out there in the dog world trying to get on the bandwagon for success when they've tried to become TV personalities when they talk shit on the internet. I haven't gone after you in your training, Robert. I asked you a simple question on that live feed and you came attacking me, saying to me, you've only got yourself to blame for people attacking you. Because if you're showing discipline on the internet, you're teaching thousands and thousands of people how to use discipline. Fucking right. You're dead right. You're fucking right, Robert. Because guess what? No other fucker is, because they're scared to face the madding crowd. I'm saying to people, my site on Facebook is private to friends and friends only. Lucky you haven't got a virus because I just spat on the TV. Passionate, see. My Facebook site is closed to people who like my methods of training, and it's closed for a reason, to stop dicks like you, Robert, attacking them because they agree with my method of training. So I know you're going to watch this video, Robert. I don't really want to talk about you, but I'm educating you, my little lovey. And for you to phone me up this week and tell me to take down the feed because you're going to create real problems. You're messing with the wrong people, Robert. I can tell you, don't threaten me. You couldn't even tell me what feed. And when I said I've put 10 feeds up that day, you couldn't even tell me. You just got so shitty. When your friends send me death threats and they send me crap like, don't worry, karma's coming your way. What the frick is karma? Why don't you talk about it? Because this is dead simple, Robert. Hard men don't talk about coming to get someone. They go and do it. They don't talk about it. For you to come on the phone and try and frighten me and my wife and say, take it down now, you don't know who you're messing with. You don't know who you're messing with, do you? You don't know who I deal with or who I know. But I don't make threats on the internet, and I definitely don't make the threats over the phone. You're an idiot, Robert. If you want to talk about dog training, Robert, bring it on. We'll talk about dog training. I invite you in to talk about dog training, but I ain't going to get bitchy with you, Robert, because I can't be arsed with wet wipes like you. I've got to be so careful what words I say because you get so triggered and play the race card. So there you go, everyone. That's answered Robert's question. You answered it for him. Thank you very much indeed, everyone, because that's where we get on in this group, because we're like-minded people. I'm telling you, I know a lot of you people through a long period of time where we've had conversations, we've had chats, we've talked about dogs. We are dog lovers as much as those people who feed them on the couch non-stop. Some of you guys have got them dogs on the couch. That's your choice. It's the way I train. It's the way I show you. And I do my best to teach and educate. Do I show every correction I ever use? No. Why? I've explained to you hundreds and hundreds of times. Each dog is different. Each dog needs a certain amount of correction. But I've shown you my dogs when I've corrected my dogs. I've never showed you customers' dogs being corrected in a firm way, because I don't want backlash from my customers, because that's what they would do. But I'm not out there trying to flog myself to the world. My site on Facebook is set there for people who are on my friends list, and I've got 2,500 people. If they're not interested, they can fuck off. It's as simple as that. And that's what Robert could do. Fuck off. He came in on my friends list. He was there for 2 years. He didn't bitch about nothing except in private to me. I put up with it. I listened to it. And I thought, you don't know what you're talking about, Robert. But I didn't fall out with him. I listened to his crap. And then because I didn't agree with what he was saying about hanging a dog over a balcony and hitting it with a baseball bat, that changed his mindset towards me and said that I was out to make him look stupid. He made himself look stupid with his silly comments. Simple as that, Robert did. And at the end of the day, I haven't got the time to play this childish behavior. So I'm moving on. But well done, Robert. Lovely question. I just thought I'd answer that one for you. But guess what? These people answered that question for you. So, Robert, my suggestion to you is fuck off with your little band of women who put up silly comments and, absolutely foul-mouthed comments, right? That's not debate. That's not dog training. And I'm not into that. I'm into debate. I'm into talking with people. I can agree and disagree with people and remain civil. But you, Robert, are a tosser, right? First time, innit? Chris Upton has used a bit of language that sent a message to you, Robert. You're a tosser, right? That's what you are. End of. Let's move on, shall we say? Anyway, should we go back and read your Robert and his sheeple? Yeah, exactly. Every now and again, it's good to let rip, isn't it? It's just, I kept quite calm for two weeks while he freaking still going on and on and on about me, putting up my videos and asking people to share them and put thumbs down on the freaking, just freaking childish behavior. Grow up. I mean, if anyone ever seen Robert on Dog Borstal, and you've seen the Caprice video where she's going, good little doggy. If I was Robert, I'd have gone, Caprice, calm it down. Calm it down. No, it's not. It's just big smiles. Got the dog to sit for 2 seconds. Well done. Welcome to the real world, Robert. We live in the real world. We don't live in the pet world, TV world, where you sell yourself with a big smile on the TV and you try and act professional on TV, but underneath you're a scumbag. You're a nasty little scumbag that goes after people to try and ruin their business. Robert, share the shit out of this video if you want, because I'm easy. There you go. Let's all breathe. Anyway, sorry, Susan, but got that one in, didn't I? Okay. You want to calm me down now? Okay. Dave Cowling, puppy not bringing back a retrieve. What would you do? Got a puppy, back to that same situation, isn't it? How old's the puppy? Come on, Dave, is he on here? How old's the puppy? So there you go. Puppy not bringing back a retrieve. Well, how many of my videos have shown you how to get a puppy bringing back a retrieve? Let me just explain something. Yesterday was in the field. Yesterday, it was hot yesterday, wasn't it? Very hot yesterday, wasn't it, Sue?
Yeah.
Yeah, today it's rained. I've been cutting the grass out in the back there, and today was wonderful compared. So I cracked on with it for a good few hours. I was in the field, and Dougie nailed Harley Quinn, dominated him, and he dropped the retrieve. But he was running around with him for 10 minutes to begin with. And the behavior got better from Dougie. He was then avoiding Harley Quinn and saying, no, okay, I'm not gonna escalate this any further. So he got the message. The message worked, and it was a lovely video. What have I missed? Nothing, Jay. Nothing at all. Calm down. Everything's calm. Chris has just vented just a little tiny bit, and then he's back to normal. So did you watch the Dougie video, Jay? Your dog. Did you watch the Dougie video on Patreon? The latest one. Come on, then. We're waiting for you, Jay. What did you miss? You're late in, see? That's your problem. Been on them bloody bikes, haven't you? In the mud. See? No, I don't think I've seen it. Well, go and watch it, and if you don't like it, you can have your dog back. How about that? If you don't like it, you can have your dog back. I'll go and watch it now. Be right back. Well done, boy. On Patreon. Are you there, Jay? Can you hear me? Or are you gone? He's left the auditorium. Is that Elvis? Elvis has left the auditorium. Yeah, so no, I'm well trained. I do as I'm told. Well trained, I do as I'm told, yeah. Now, what I'm saying is, I don't want you to talk about it on here, but let me do the talking. I don't want you saying nothing about the video on here. On Patreon, you can talk about it if you want, but when you come back, I might ask you a couple of questions. Then you can answer those questions. But you don't need to actually address what I did with the dog. Just visually watch it. It was with Harley Quinn. That's why it's important to me, everyone. This is why it's important. If you've got customers' dogs, and you're training those customers' dogs, you don't hide nothing from them customers, because if them customers aren't happy with what you're doing with their dog, then they have a right to take their dog back. You should not be hiding things behind closed doors to your customers and handing a dog back with his head down, freaking eyes glazed, tail right up its arse, scared to leave the owner's side. Right, because you ain't training it right. It's as simple as that. I stand for these dogs. Because I put my head above the parapet and be prepared to be shot at. I'm not prepared to be abused by idiots. And if I decide to fight back, I fight back. But you can't fight every idiot on the internet. I've learned that. People have given me advice. I've read it. You have to make up your own way in life. And I come to the conclusion: am I wasting my time trying to educate people? No. Because I've educated so many people, and so many people have got their dogs to a far better standard with the understanding of why I train the way I train. This is what this is about, everyone. This is what this is about. My YouTube, this video goes up on YouTube. Everybody can see it. If they write shitty comments, I just take them down. I don't argue with them. If someone wants to make constructive criticism, that's different. But if someone wants to be rude and assertive and aggressive to me, then I ain't got time to mess around with them people. I just delete it. It's as simple as that. Spoiler alert, Jay, it ended 3-0. What, football? What ended 3-0?
The thing with Harley.
It ended 3-0. Okay, come on then. There must be something up here. Richard Gould. Our dogs are out under greatest temptation when their adrenaline and prey drive is sky high, and we must still have control. I don't think some pet owners have ever been in that situation. You're dead right. You're dead right, Richard. And I don't go on pet trainers forums rubbishing pet trainers. I don't. Pet trainers come on gun dog forums rubbishing me because of idiots like McDowell in Scotland who peddle shit about me and edit my videos. If you edit my videos, you can make me look sexy. But you can also make me look like the devil. Depends how you edit them. You know, I believe that we have the right of freedom of speech. How we conduct ourselves is down to each person. You know, these people haven't got a clue what background I come from and how I was toughened up. They haven't got a clue what sort of person I am if you really kick off with me. But guess what? I don't want to kick off with no one. I don't want to threaten no one. It's not in my nature to threaten people. I hate bullies. But I won't stand there and let somebody bully me or bully another person who doesn't deserve it. It's like this stuff in America. It's so sad, isn't it? It's so sad. You know, I could tell you a few stories. I'll tell you about police officers, brutal police officers who enjoyed inflicting pain. I can tell you. I've been there, and I've been on the wrong end of the law, and I've stood up against bullies using truncheons, wielding truncheons. It got me into trouble. But guess what? I do exactly the same thing again in the same situation. Not that I'm looking for trouble, but I'm not willing to see someone's skull fractured with a wooden truncheon when they've done nothing. And all I was trying to do is stop it escalating. But as soon as you get involved, you're stopping the police in their duty. Well, hang on. I thought you had to warn somebody before you hit them with a truncheon straight across the head there and blood pouring out of their head. When you watch that and visually seen it, and it happened from nothing, and it's your own brother that's being smacked in the freaking head with a truncheon, then I think that some people would react. But I reacted very calmly. All I did was I took the truncheon off the police officer. I didn't realise that the police officer was going to fall on the floor and scream for assistance. I didn't hit the police officer with a truncheon. But that, what they'll do is they'll take that little bit what I've just put there and go, he's been in trouble for hitting a police officer with a truncheon. They're fucking idiots. They're out there. They just look for trouble. No, if you've ever heard the sound of a wooden truncheon smacking a skull there, right, without any warning, I'm telling you, it's frightening. And we all act different. We all act different. Some people would run, some people wouldn't get involved, and some people say, hang on, that's not acceptable. You can't fucking do that. He ain't done nothing. It's all different. Very sad. Times have changed. Exactly, Sean. And do you know what? I don't care what colour skin you got. I'm not a racist in any way, but to turning that round and looting the shops and punching owners of the shops and killing them and their wives, seriously injuring their wives, then you're just lowest of scum. I mean, they say that the guy who actually got killed, and it was totally wrong of that policeman putting his knee on his neck and doing what he did. It was horrible. They're saying that he went inside for 5 years for armed robbery, putting a gun in a woman's stomach and robbing her house. Well, that don't make him. Is it? It makes me so sad that people become so judgmental and so triggered, but then they start robbing stores and burning buildings down and saying they did it because they were upset. You can't take the law into your own hands like that. And if you are, then you're defeating the object. And yet I totally understand about peaceful rallying sometimes isn't enough. But you've got the vote. You've got the vote. Use your vote. If you're not happy, use the vote. Use your voice. Nothing wrong with peaceful protesting. Anyway, we're not here to talk about politics, are we? I just saddened. The world saddens me at the moment. The way how people can be so judgmental and so quick to jump on the bandwagon. And okay, so what have we got here? Let's go back to Sue said, get your head back into dog training. I'm trying to still work out what 3-0 means. Okay, so anybody else on here? Not Tables Carlos. Chris, if they don't use discipline, how do they train dogs? We haven't seen any of their videos yet. Exactly, not the Tables Carlos. Exactly, and that's the whole point. The whole point is put your videos up and show us. I will drop discipline completely if someone comes up with an idea how to train a dog to a level that I can train a dog to, or train people to train a dog to that level, and without discipline. I will follow them. I will become their disciple. And I will preach it out there for everyone to hear. But you've got to show me not one dog, not a dog that you said you had 25 years ago and he was fucking brilliant and everyone loved him and he was the best dog in the world and I didn't do anything with him. I see thousands of dogs and thousands of people, and I teach people and I teach the dogs. And the one thing that I've always said to you is I do not accept cruelty to animals. And it is not acceptable cruelty. But define cruelty. Is a rubber bullet cruel compared to a real bullet that's going to kill you? Would you rather have a rubber bullet or would you rather have a real bullet? The real bullet would definitely stop the behavior. The rubber bullet might make you think twice before doing it again, right? And that's why in some ways they talk about tasering people. Taser them. Well, mob mentality, you taser one, you're going to get your head kicked in by mob mentality. And we talk about pack. pack of wild animals, pack of feral people running the streets.
There's no such thing as a pack of...
But you know what gets me more than anything? Half of them ain't got the pants freaking up, have they? How can you run down the street with a load of stolen gear when you haven't got your pants up around your freaking waist? They're having to walk strange down the freaking streets because their arses hanging out their underpants. And they waddle like penguins. I'm just looking at it. An observation. I'm all observation. Like, hang on, mate. And they're coming out and like smiling at the camera. I think, you're nicked. Some people are brain dead. Bollocks, yes, Julian. Yeah, Chris is on a roll tonight, isn't he? Hey, did tell you. Anyway, have we answered Dave's other question? Probably not bringing back the retrieve. Anybody going to answer that one for him? That's why it's good to be away from it with the dogs. Do you know what? You're dead right, Jason. Far from the madding frigging crowd, honestly. Me and Stu had a lovely time. We went for a walk, and we went up to this week. We went to Tintagel Castle, and I said to her, "It could be heaving, Sue." I said, "So if it is, we just turn around and come back." I think we're about 9 people there. It was absolutely lovely. We had a lovely walk down up through the castle, but we had to stop 5 times up the hill, both of us, trying to get our strength back for the marathon we're going to do next year together. She said, "Jesus Christ, I didn't realise how out of condition I was." Weren't you, darling? You were puffing and puffing.
Oh, freaking big hill, wasn't it?
It was a big hill, but we do love Camelot, don't we, Sue?
I think Kieran should use his spanner and take Peter Taylor out because he's just said it would be some editing achievement making you look sexy.
You bastard. Peter Taylor, you bastard. Kieran, block him for 10 minutes. Mute him for 10 minutes. Kieran, mute him. Just take him out for 10 minutes. That's the worst comment I've had all year.
How to hurt, isn't it?
How to hurt someone. I mean, smiley face, that's not making any freaking difference to me. I'm bloody hurt now. I'm not going to talk to you all for the next 10 minutes.
Wasn't a smiley face, crying with laughter face, that was.
Bloody hell. Next time you come here, Peter, you're getting beasted.
Paul, if you have a thumbs up, I'll spare you.
Cheeky buggers, aren't they? Okay. Carol's laughing. Okay, you're going to have to help me with that one then, Simon Spruce. What the hell does CGI mean? You mean manipulate it? You mean, yeah, Photoshop me? Why should you Photoshop me? You all know I'm beautiful. You know what they say? If you can't love yourself, you can't love others. So first you've got to love yourself. You use a cup of water in your kennel. Is that cruel? What? You use a cup of water in the kennel. I use a bucket of water if I have to.
If you use a cup of water in your kennel, is that cruel?
Well, I don't think it's cool, Phil, but you tell me. But no, it depends what people perceive as what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. We've obviously got rid of Jay. He's driving up here to get his dog. After watching that video, I'm on my freaking way, you bastard. But the thing is, special effects. Okay, Simon, we don't need special effects. Boot polish, yeah, make me look younger. No, we can't do that. You can't use boot polish. Okay, so any more questions up here? I know when I was ranting, I didn't read anything. Not tell Chris if they don't use this. We've done that one. Come on, then. You can ask any questions. Any questions you like, you lot. I think you just like the entertainment. I think you know. It's not a dog questions and answers anymore, is it? It's just entertainment, isn't it, for you lot?
Denver's got one.
Where's Denver?
Just above Simon Spruce's CGI.
Hang on. Denver, Chris, how do you reinforce the recall when as soon as you put the lead on the dog won't go wrong? Eh? You mean you put the long line on the dog and the dog's getting it right? Yeah? Is that what you mean? How do you reinforce the recall when as soon as you put the lead on the dog doesn't go wrong? Leave the lead dangling on the dog and work on it for a few months, not a few days or a few weeks. You work on it a few months, especially this time of year. Plenty of entertainment tonight, Chris. That's the way. Jay Brooker. Hang on. Jay Brooker. Cracking video, Chris. Right. Do you know what, Jay? I looked at that video twice before putting it up. Not because I got nothing to hide, because I thought to myself, fucking some arsehole's going to kick off about that video. And yet I could not get a correction in quicker than the way I did it. That was an instant correction at that point for that dog, right? He's not doing it, Jay, to older dogs now, because I've taught the behavior in the field with the older dogs. He's so much better, so much better. But as soon as he saw the pup, he thought, I'm going to dominate you. And it was just not, it wasn't nasty, but it needed to stop. Because I don't want him to think that he has to make corrections to other dogs. So when you go out or the missus takes that dog out, I don't want that dog thinking, hang on, you're a small dog, I'm going to pick on you. You're a big dog, I'm going to leave you alone. I want the dog to be social with all dogs. So that's why I gave that correction. But I was explaining, Jay, that customers trust me with their dogs. And I don't hide anything from the customer that I do that I wouldn't show the customer. But if I put that video onto Facebook or YouTube, you would find somebody wanting to criticize that video.
We'd have a snowflake.
We would have the snowflakes, and what'll happen now? They will go and pay to go on Patreon. They'll take that video and they'll talk about that video. I don't want anyone on Patreon to take that video to share that video. And I don't want anyone talking about it unless we're in Patreon and we're talking about it. And that's not because I've got nothing to hide. It's just that society out there are so fractured with the ideology of the Victoria Stilwells and Ian Dunbar and the Robert Alains of this world that become film stars. You could say Cesar Millan to a certain extent, but at least Cesar Millan gives correction. But do I like some of Cesar Millan's dogs when he goes towards them and they cower and turn straight over? No, I don't. But I don't go out of my way to publicly rubbish Cesar Millan like these so-called positive trainers. Some parts of Cesar's training I really understand and understand. So see what I'm saying, everyone? That's Jay. That's Dougie's owner, and he hadn't seen the video. And he didn't know what I was talking about, and it's had some good feedback, and it said people said the punishment was in proportion of what the dog needed at that split second. That's how you stop a behavior, and then you saw how fast the dog learnt to avoid Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn was being a little twat. Sorry, that was rude. I shouldn't use that word. A little bugger, right? He was just being silly, but that dog's got to realise that. You've got to avoid that. You've got to avoid confrontation just because a little dog comes in like that. But if you watch Harley Quinn, he was coming in from underneath. He was being friendly. He wasn't being over dominant. But if he was trying to ride Jay around the field, not Jay. Jay might have enjoyed it. Dougie, if he was trying to ride Dougie around the field, I'd have let Dougie back him off at that point. Right, but what Dougie was doing, he was dominating. If you watch the dog, he was dominating. That's why we changed the behavior. That's why we did it. 100%. Thank you, Jay. And that's what trust is about. Patreon is like-minded people, so we can just discuss openly in there. Exactly. And that's what, unfortunately, we've had to do. Not because we're doing something that's not right or I won't stand by, but because society out there is trying to peddle the ideology that everything's got to be done with love and affection. And love and affection is the way. Like somebody said on here earlier, put up your videos. Put up your videos. That's what I'm saying. Patreon is open for like-minded people, down to earth dog trainers and working dog users. Yes, but that doesn't mean that I recommend everybody doing that. It means that I, with my knowledge and understanding and timing, it was the fastest way to stop that behavior. It was that instant, quick bang. Now let's ask you all a question then. Let's just ask you the next question. Next question. These are all lined up specially. So if you were in the park and you've got your dog on the lead and a dog comes racing across, or two dogs come racing across, barking, snapping at your dog, would you have any hesitation sticking your boot in and going, get out of it? Would you? Because if you bend down and put your hands in there, you could get bit. would you have any hesitation putting your body in between your dog and that dog and going, get out of it?
No.
There you go. So that answers my question about that video. It's about timing. It's about knowing how to do it. Now, if you, what do they call it? A drop shot the dog, like rugby. If you drop shot at it and it went 20 feet, then you've gone in too hard. But a short bit of dominance from you to say that's unacceptable, I think it's totally acceptable. So some people will say it's not acceptable to kick a dog. Well, there's a fine disagreement, isn't there? Right? Because why should your dog, only if it wasn't the wife with the other day, only
I reckon Stephen Logan gets a golden star for that one.
I decided which part of my body I was prepared to lose. Yeah, exactly, Stephen. Right. So what we're saying is we're not cruel people. We're not cruel people. But if you can't keep your freaking dog under control and it comes racing across being assertive and aggressive to my dog, I don't want my dog's mindset changed. So I step in. I don't say, go on, I'm not getting involved in this. You've got your dog on a lead. He's at a disadvantage. We do let the lead go and let them just freaking nail each other. Because if it's, I can tell you, I've seen dogs' mindsets change when they've got into big scraps with nasty dogs that come racing across. And some dogs are face on face instantly. It's intimidating. It's not on.
No, Christabel's trying to get in. But I think Stephen beat him.
I would use a baseball bat and throw him over the nearest balcony. Stop it, you lot, honestly. Honestly, if Robert's watching this, he's freaking, the diva will be freaking crying. He'll be making another video. I didn't use a baseball bat, you say. I used a cricket bat. The story changes every time you freaking listen to it. What I'm saying is, in a life and death situation, if you've got to stop a dog, then I totally understand you've got to use discipline. I wasn't saying what Robert Elaine did was wrong. If it was a life and death, get off me. But to stand there having a freaking long distance fight with a freaking dog that keep charging you for 40 minutes, trying to play baseball with it, and wanting to then decide which part you want to freaking give up to throw it off the balcony, I'm sorry, I had to question it. Especially coming from what we call an animal welfare officer. Right? I don't want to keep going over that. It's your lot. You lot kicked it off.
Yeah, but it was funny, wasn't it?
Drop kick, that was it. Drop kick. Rugby, yeah. But the thing is, do I want to do that? In these current times when out with our dogs, I also carry some protection. Yeah, everyone should carry a catch pole and a baseball bat in the back just in case it's real serious, like a ninja bag. No, don't say that because they'll freaking record. They'll just edit that bit and go, he said carry a baseball bat and then what's same pole? Michael, Lorraine, who told you that Robert Elaine? Hang on, Lorraine. Apparently, the recommended way of breaking up a dog is to stick your finger up its arse. Stop it, Lorraine. Honestly, you'll get Sean in trouble. Sean gave that one away, didn't he? And I think he regretted it. Yeah. That's why you're supposed to carry gloves. Carry a taser. Stop it, you lot. You're freaking terrible. You're getting terrible. This has gone past an hour. I hope it's Robert's bedtime. I hope it's Robert's bedtime. Okay. I've actually been in the same situation with a large staff. I had to hold it, turn it, get it to avoid it nailing my dog. Not pretty, not nice. And the owner did chaffle. Exactly. I've had to choke a staffy off a dog that was locked onto his back leg. The dog was screaming like an absolute. It was horrible, painful scream, and that was a staffy cross. And I had to choke that out. And I went up behind and I put the collar in and I choked the dog out and I pulled the dog off once he'd opened up his mouth, and then I threw the dog away, and luckily the dog freaking legged it and didn't come back for more. But I tell you what, it's not a nice situation. No one wants to be in it. Things happen. You've got to make a decision. But there's no way would I be going on a balcony with a dog for 40 minutes and playing ping pong with it with a baseball bat. No freaking way. No way. And especially if it's trapped on a balcony and it can't go anywhere, then what you do, the most sensible thing would be is to phone the police and tell them to come along with it and shoot it. Shoot it. It's as simple as that. If it's a mad dog and it's not right in the freaking head, then I'm sorry. I'm not playing God. It's a danger to the public. Shoot it. But if you're winding it up by hitting it with a baseball bat and it keeps coming at you, and then going back, recovering, panting like an idiot, you're panting like an idiot, and then it comes at you again, and you stay on the balcony for 40 minutes, I think you're asking for trouble, right? At the end of the day, I gave my opinion as a dog trainer. That was nothing personal. That was not a snipe at the guy. I said to him, now you've got experience, because he was supposed to be 26 at the time. Now you've got all these years, 30 years experience. What would you do now in that situation? Do you know what I should have said? Not go on the freaking balcony. It's just as simple as that. But it's funny how I created that. I didn't create it. He said that on the Chris Fraser live feed. So many people have watched it and contacted me and said, I can't believe it. Sean says, I've choked a staffy off my first pet dog. Very scary. It is. It's not what you want. But if you're in that situation, you need to know what to do. But guess what? You can get yourself seriously bit if you don't, because the dog can redirect. Some dogs are just nasty, nasty dogs. You know, I can open a spaniel's mouth locked on. I've been bitten 3 times in all the time that I've been training, and 3 times for the same reason. Dogs have had electric collars on and they've been fried. And so because they get fried on the neck and I grab them by the scruff to stop the dog, then the dog turns and redirects on your hand. That's why I go in over the top of the head and grab them by the scruff at the back, but I've got total control of the head if they're pulling. It looks like my hands are on the ears. It's actually on the bottom of the ears, but actually holding the scruff. So I've got total control. Could I do that with a Malinois or a pit bull? I don't know, because I don't do that. That's not my area of expertise. But I can do that with a Labrador. I can do that with a Spaniel to stop them redirecting, because if you grab them by one hand, they can turn. They're very quick and nail you. Simple as that. So it's knowing how to handle these dogs. But guess what? I can take the leash and hold the dog and stop the dog by what we call helicoptering. You know, lifting the dog's front feet up and controlling the dog on his back feet. Is it what you want to do? No. Do you really want to do that to a dog? No. But for safety, I can dance like Michael freaking Jackson with a dog like that if I want to. But at the end of the day, it's not something I want to do. I'd rather have avoidance and not create that problem. But some dogs need assistance from someone who knows what they're doing. And that's where Chris Fraser is, I think, at his best when he's explaining that to people. And I think for that Robert Elaine to go on there and have a dick measuring competition, because that's all that was. It was because Chris had been making a few comments on a live feed he was on. He came on and made a few live feeds, and then he just wanted to come on and see if he freaking out-talk him. It didn't work. I mean, I thought it was quite, not childish, but a bit silly to mute him. But on reflection, after watching it again, I thought, good on you. He just wouldn't shut up. He just going off on one, and he wouldn't shut up. So if you come onto someone's live feed and you want to pick a fight with someone, then you've got to take the consequences. But I think Chris Fraser handled that. And I've been talking to a few professional trainers who've talked about that video, and they said that guy made himself look stupid. Made himself look stupid. But that's his own fault. He went on there looking for a fight on the internet, making himself famous, like he's trying to make himself famous on the back of my name. At the end of the day, I just say, get on with it, go away. But I talk about dog training. Chris, moonwalking, that would be a great video. Yeah, I can moonwalk. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can do side shuffle as well. And I can do the other one. It ain't gonna bop no more, no big fat woman. Disco dancing champion, 19th. Oh no, we won't go there.
2 questions.
Was that shoot the dog or Robert? Stop it. Stop it. Andy, you're a troublemaker. Let's get some more thumbs up on tonight's live feed for your live feed, you type bastards. Jay Brooker, well done. Come on, 31. Honestly, Robert Slot's going to give us about 90 freaking thumbs down on this one when it goes up on freaking YouTube. Come on, help me out here. Nah, I'm not going to do what you like. I don't care anymore. Any more questions, Susan?
Yeah, there's 2.
Go on then.
Well, first one's Susan Dixon.
Hang on then. Where's Susan Dixon? That's something like
2046.
Read it out, Sue, pleasing.
Do
Sue,
you,
pleasing, Susan. Pleasing, Susan.
do you frontline your dogs for ticks? I have 3 dogs.
Susan, I found it.
Lovely.
Do you frontline your dogs for ticks? I have 3 dogs and only feel them when stroking them and still miss them sometimes. Funny enough, Susan, I've actually just changed. I used to use what we call spot on. We used to use cattle spot on from the like farm shops, Cornwall Farmers or something like that. But the thing is, I went to my vets to have these tails done for these puppies when they were 4 days old, and we were talking about the cheapest way to use wormers and flea treatments, and she said this tablet does it all, artworm, roundworm, and all that, and they're £5.75 and they last for 6 months. So that's what we use. I think it's a frontline. I think it's a frontline tablet that we give them. She just gave them me in the packet, and I just give each dog one every 6 months. Where before we used to give separate worming and separate flea treatment, but in the long run, I think it works out about the same cost. So we just did it for convenience. Before, I've always done Panicure or Gerontal Plus for my puppies, but that's the way we've gone at the moment. So it could be frontline tablets. They're a big tablet, about that big, and the dogs eat them no problem, and they chew on them straight away. They don't taste horrible for them, and go straight down. So that treats them for 6 months, and so I've moved over to that. But I don't really give out too much information about shortcuts and tricks of the trade for what we do in the health wise for dogs, because I'm not a vet and I don't want to be above my station. If anything ever went wrong, I wouldn't want to lead people down the wrong path. So I leave the vets, unfortunately. But good question. So who's the next one?
I'm just trying to find out.
She's lost the next question. She's
honestly. Oh, we go. Richard Gould.
Richard Gould.
Yeah, just got 2040.
I can't. I've got no time on here. Go on, read it out loud.
I'd like to know what you would want to know prior to paying to use a stud dog. Are there pitfalls, and how can you avoid them?
Well, the thing is, anybody who tries to hit you for the price of a puppy for a stud fee, unless it's a top dog and it's a champion, and then they deserve to be asking those sort of prices. I wouldn't pay more than 300 quid for a stud fee for a dog. And what you would normally want is 2 matings. So I know you may be traveling a long distance, but you would normally have 1 mating, miss a day, and then go back and have another mating. And so that's what I would recommend, 2 matings. Have I been long distance and only had 1 mating and took a chance? Yes, I have, because I don't want to have to hang around for 2 days. If you can go back to that same stud dog and it's not too far, then that is what is normal. You would normally get 2 mated, you get 2 stand-ins with that dog at the same period within a couple of days to make sure you've got your bitch caught. And I personally wouldn't pay more than 300 quid for a stud fee unless I was using a champion to champion dog right through that I really wanted. And trust me, that's cost of money to get that dog up to that level. So if you're using that dog and you've got to pay 500 quid, then that's up to you. I mean, that is a way to get good blood into the lines, but there's plenty of good quality lines out there that, you know, they'll do a stud fee for you for 300 quid. And some of the top boys will look after each other, and that's what they'll do. So that's the advice I can give you. If your dog doesn't lock with the bitch, then you don't pay. But if the dog locks with the bitch, whether it's 5 minutes or whether it's 15 minutes, I like a lock to be 15 minutes roughly. It means you normally got a good lock. And then what you must do without fail, as soon as your bitch comes unlocked from the dog, pick the bitch up and put her straight in the car. And the reason you pick her up and put her in the car is you don't want her squatting and peeing and washing herself out. So you pick her up and put her straight in the car, because some bitches will just squat and pee, especially some nervy bitches. So that's one thing that we always do. So once they've mated, you stand there. What I tend to do, when two dogs mate, I then back them up and put the leg over one side so they're back to back, but their legs are both on the floor. They haven't got one up in the air. And so then I normally mate them in a small kennel so they don't pull away from each other like lunatics. And you just stand there and keep them calm. And most bitches and dogs will just stand there, keep calm. One of the things you've got to do sometimes, you've got to move away from them, because when you've got the bond over your dog or your bitch like I have, the bitch won't be interested in mating if you're standing there, or the dog might not be interested in mating if you're standing there. Sometimes you just got to hide around the corner and keep checking them. And then once you see them locked on, you start timing it. If it's more than 5 minutes, normally it's okay. Less than 5 minutes, normally you ain't got a good tie, but you can get caught. But that's why we use that period of when I see blood, I count 11 days, and then I move on to the bitch and the dog. And if the dog's really interested in her straight away and she's whapping her tail across, you know she's banging. And if he's interested in riding it. Now, some dogs will rape the bitch, be hard on the bitch, what I'm saying. And other dogs will be very, very touchy and sniffy until you're ready. I'm not going nowhere near you. Some bitches will be snappy and some bitches won't be snappy. It depends on how you've brought your dog up. But some of my bitches that I brought up, but absolutely fine with other dogs and that, can be quite moody if another dog's dominating them. But some bitches love a bit of domination, don't they, Susan?
No idea, sweet.
No idea, sweet. There you go, everyone.
Right, there's a question.
Always have to talk about sex, don't we?
There's a question.
Stop it, you lot.
Right. Paul Jarvis has asked me to ask you nicely.
Come on then, Paul.
Sue, can you ask nicely? So I'm asking you nicely, sweetheart.
Come on then.
To answer my question on Patreon.
Right. So
Paul Jarvis.
What question? On the souls you said, didn't you?
Oh no, I'm not on it.
No, I said to Paul. He said something about soul. So was it the live feed with Soul? 11 comments. Let's have a look. Paul. Also, so it's my opinion that Rama is the most stunning dog to look at. Is that the question? Yeah. On Soul's chat. Is that the one?
Yeah, on Soul's chat. Yeah.
A stunning looking dog. Everyone says they are a real handful. I think we have our work cut out with GSPs, but my next dog will be a grey ghost, my pointer, who I took on from Spain and has been challenging. And we have learnt so much. The voyage continues, but with so much foundation work with Chris, I would still most likely have to use the e-collar conditioning to get the best out of the dog. There are no shortcuts when it comes to dog training, and foundation and building blocks have been in place before we move forward. Whilst these breeds are not Chris Upton's first choice, he will still be around his for his professional guidance and advice to get me through the choppy waters of dog training. Many thanks. That's the question, is it? Right. What can I say? The first thing I want the dog to do is I want to see its natural ability. I want to see if it will point. I want to see if it will hold point or whether it will push through a point. So if I use the fishing line with a feather on and teased it, does it go to point or does it want to chase it? At the end of the day, I don't think the genetics of those dogs are the best bred dogs. And I see so many people who compromise Paul. And so I believe it's the same as Dougie. Dougie is a compromise. You have to compromise. If you're ruled by your head of what you read and what you like visually, then fine, go for it. But you'll always have to compromise. And my argument is this: if the breeding is right, there shouldn't be hard mouth, there shouldn't be noise. And yet Soul will tell you that some German dogs have got to be able to kill a fox. If they can't prove they can kill a fox, then they ain't no good. So they're looking for something completely different to what I'm looking for. And I have not got the expertise in that area with the pointers that I have with the Springers and the Spaniels. But would I train the same foundation? To a certain extent. but I would want to see natural ability and not stifle natural ability. And so the reason what we've had to go backwards to go forwards with Dougie, for instance, is Dougie's got some behavioral problems that we're having to readjust the mindset before giving him the freedom to open up, because with freedom comes rules and boundaries. But we don't want to stifle him and turn him into a robotic dog. And that's what I like, the natural ability. And I think with Soul's first dog, he admits he messed her up, but he learned from it. He then wanted more, but he's studied and watched so many other pointer trainers and then still come back to me. And why has he come back to me? Because he liked the gameplay. He liked the foundation I build. And the foundation would be the same thing. Because if you don't get the retrieving into the dog and you only get the hunting into the dog, all the dog will want to do is race after it, grab hold of it, munch it, and freaking run around the field with it, not bring it back. So you have to put the foundation into the dog the way you want the dog to be. And each dog's different. Up on the moors, they come into their own. Long legs, high head carriage, they look majestic. But it depends what situation you're in and what you want with them. It's as simple as that. And I get some of those dogs here and they go, I want it in the beating line. I think, Jesus Christ. But we get them to a certain standard in the beating line, but then it's not what they're bred for. It's like having a Ferrari and saying, I want to take it out on a Sunday for a 30-mile-an-hour spin with the missus. It's going to wreck the Ferrari in the end, because you need to put your foot down sometimes. And with them dogs, there's nothing finer than them opening up and doing what they're bred to do. But you've got to control that to a certain extent. So, yeah, my foundation will work, but you manipulate the dog into what you want it for. I mean, there's nothing finer than watching a dog go after a bird and use its natural ability. But the dog that looks back to the handler because it's not sure it's allowed to do that, then that causes a problem. Anyway, you lot, you've had an hour and 20.
Yeah, but have you answered the proper? Because
What?
have you answered the proper? Because Paul Jarvis is Ron Paul Chris. Are you?
Oh, hang on. Who are we on about?
Paul Jarvis on Patreon. I don't know whether you've actually seen that and done.
All right, Paul Cocker.
Yeah, but he's actually said, love your answer, Chris, but I think Paul Jarvis.
Oh, hang on. Paul Jarvis at the bottom. I didn't see it. Sorry, guys. Wrong Paul. Thanks for that. I was waiting to write speech then, didn't I?
Yeah, but Paul Cocker, he enjoyed it. He said, thank you very much.
Yeah, a very good and interesting listen to the doctor. I agree with Sol. A good dog is a good dog, whether it has papers or not. A question for Chris. Here we go. What benefits do you get from Kennel Club by registering your puppies? Surely they want money for this, which is passed on. The buyer could sell the puppies on, or do they have? Hang on. Surely they want money for this, which is passed on. The buyer could you sell the puppies without it, or do they have to be registered by law? Good question, Paul Jarvis. Sorry, not Paul Cocker. I read the wrong Paul at the top. You can sell them without papers. You can't technically run them in competition unless they're KC registered. That's a joke. That's what Sol was talking about. But yes, you can sell them without papers. Does it make them a better dog with papers? No. Does it make them a more sellable dog if you train it and you want to sell it? Yes, without fail. There is benefits. You've got. I said this the other day. Keith Carter. Keith Carter. Yeah, Keith Carter, a panel judge, said to me years and years ago when I was judging with him when we were in the bar and we had a meal after the trial, and it was the day before we arrived there before the trial. We have a meal and then in the morning go and do the trial. And we were talking, and I said to him years and years ago, I can't stand the Kennel Club, the way they try and dictate to us what we should do and what we shouldn't do and all this and all this. And he said, without the Kennel Club, it would be Wild Wild West. And it made me stop and think. And I thought, yeah, you're right, because I've got a record of my history of my breeding. I've got pedigree after pedigree. I've got history. I can follow that. And if you are honest with yourself, you can line breed. You can then bring an outcross in. You can go back and look at it. I mean, when I married Sue, I never asked to see any paperwork. Biggest frigging mistake I made.
No, I didn't look at your pedigree either.
She never looked at my pedigree neither, everyone.
Oh, big mistake. Huge mistake.
And I think the Kennel Club have become a money-making machine. It's all about profit to them. I don't think they do justice to the gun dog world. I think it's more to do with registration of all dogs. They do nothing but promote what they want to promote. They try and push you to take out their insurance. It's the most ridiculous insurance out there. They only give you the value of what you paid for the dog, not for the value that you spent on the dog. So say you sent the dog away for training and you spent 2 grand on the dog and it stands you at £2,500 by the time you paid for it. They would only pay you, say you paid £500 for the pup, they'd only pay you 500 if anything happened. Tesco's insurance, for instance, we had one incident where a dog was, I forget what happened to it. Oh, it had an aneurysm. It had an aneurysm and dropped dead, and they paid out 1,500 quid. What the guy paid out for me to train it for the first 10 weeks and the price of the dog. That at least gave him 1,500 quid to put into another dog. Horrible situation when you go into a kennel and see one of your dogs, especially with a dog you bred yourself, you know, dead there. So it was crying her eyes out, and it was horrible. I remember it as clear as this day. She went out to clean the kennels and she found the dog dead in the center of the kennel. Not a nice thing, but touch wood, it only ever happened once to us. And no, twice we had a dog here, didn't we?
Yeah.
A young pup, didn't we? Once here and once in our other place in 35 years. Horrible situation. And it's one of the things. So yes, you don't need to have I don't need to have them registered, but would I recommend buying a registered pup? It's down to choice, isn't it? Really, it's down to choice. Simple as that. When I go and look at a dog, I looked at a dog that was for sale the other day. Lovely dog, great age, but the pedigree wasn't what I was looking for. Else I would have grabbed him straight away for the money. But he wasn't. The pedigree wasn't what I was looking for, and so I didn't jump at it. But lovely dog and trained to a reasonable standard. And we sold the dog, and we sold it to someone on our Patreon site. Bought it. I'm not saying anything because it's personal. I wouldn't mention names, but someone bought it, and it'll be interesting. That I think they got value for money there, in my opinion, for what I saw of the dog. So there you go. I hear good things about Tesco's insurance, but you have to make sure working dogs are covered in the policy. Exactly. Yeah, you have to tell them that it's a working dog. But if you tell them, some insurance companies won't cover a working dog because they know that a working dog gets put through a lot more. But if you're just covering it for vet's fees, and if it died, somewhere I've got my dispute on Tesco's got 8% hike for renewal. Is this normal? I don't know. I honestly don't know. People ask me, do you insure your dogs, Chris? I couldn't afford to insure every dog in the kennel. I have public liability insurance you have to have that for business, else you come unstuck if something happens. You have public liability insurance, but as in vet's fees, I just have to sort it when it happens, or the customer I recommend the customer should take out insurance, or they got to understand that there could be fees. But I have liability insurance, but if a dog's in my care and the dog becomes ill, it's still down to the owner. It's down to my duty to take the dog to the vets and inform the customer. The customer then says whether they got pet insurance or not got pet insurance, and they have to pay it. It's as simple as that. Chris, I took your advice and I've got pet insurance, Tesco's insurance. Well done. I had a quote from the it was over double what I pay now. Exactly. They're just absolute rip-offs. I'm not happy with the Kennel Club. I'm not a fan of the Kennel Club. I don't like the politics of the Kennel Club. I don't like the backstabbing. I tell it the way it is, and it doesn't make you very popular in some circles. You have to live with it, everybody. You have to live with it. Anyway, you've had an extra half hour tonight, and we came in early. So that's Chris Upton signing off, and I've only got 39 likes. Wait till Robert's lot get on here. I'm in freaking trouble, aren't I? Do you know what? I don't give a shit. Bollocks to you lot, and that's Chris Upton and Sue signing off. Hope you've enjoyed it. We tried to answer some questions. I've tried to remain as civil as possible. I'm sorry for dropping a word I don't use that often, and I didn't mean to use that word. You'll have to excuse me, but where I come from, we tend to swear a little bit when we get a little bit teasy. Been a long day. I bought me rabbit pen, everyone. I actually bought me rabbit pen. I didn't tell you. I rent me rabbit pen. I bought it. They sold the field out the back for housing. So I had a chance to buy me rabbit pen. So I bought me rabbit pen. So I own my rabbit pen. And hopefully we'll see you soon. Keep safe. Have fun out there. The weather's changing, thank Christ. It's been too hot. Have fun and stay safe. Chris Upton signing off. Bollocks to you all. Thanks a lot. Thanks for tuning in. You've been great fun. Good night. Say good night, Susan.
Good night.
She's useless, isn't she, sometimes, honestly. Good night, Pierre. Good night. Good night. Good night, John boy.